All right, little Rita's going in the shop again. This is my shop, you know, can't always be as nice as my in-laws shop. But, got a little trick here. I made myself a grease pit. So the reason being, on the grease pit, when I was over at my father-in-law's shop, when I went to drain the hydraulic oil, it just wasn't quite tall enough to put a 5-gallon bucket underneath the drain plug. Now it is. And honestly, I probably didn't even need to set the ramps up like I did, but I wanted to show you guys what I did just as an idea. I've got the trailer hooked to the truck, safety pinned and everything, so it shouldn't pop off of there. And then I just put this, I backed the tractor up on the trailer, and then I put this 6x6 underneath the ramps, which is like a 5x6 underneath the ramps, just to, you know, kind of level the tractor up, which is actually sloping down just a little bit towards the front, which is fine because it'll help it drain. Hope it's not draining diesel out of the tank. It drips diesel out of the fill neck when it's, I guess when it's totally full, it'll drip out of there, but I guess it's not totally full. That's good. Anyway, so it's slightly downhill, which will help it drain, but this way I can get under there a little easier and just be able to set a bucket right under it, and I can almost get comfortable under there. Not quite though. Now it's going to be a pain to crawl over the ramps versus just sliding straight in, but maybe I can kind of sit on the side and reach in and do it. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and drain the oil out of it. We just put this oil in new the other day, so we're going to catch it and try to keep it clean. We're going to drain the oil out, we're going to change the filter, and then put that same oil back in, because it's brand new oil, so it should be fine. But yeah, I wanted to just show you that I put the tractor up on my little lift here, if you will, because when I drained it the other day at my father-in-law's, I had to drain it about 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons at a time into a shallow pan that he had, and then put the plug in, and then reach over and dump that bucket of oil, you know, or dump that pan into a bucket, and then go back and do it again. So it took me like 5 or 6 iterations to get it all drained out. So hopefully now I can just let it all run smack into a bucket, and we'll have her out of there pretty quick and easy. I'm trying to see, so I've got this stupid hitch, and it's right under that plug, so I think I'm actually going to pull the tractor forward a little bit more and maybe actually drop the front tires off of the ramp here, but have it enough that I can get a bucket, and maybe I can set a bucket up on that hitch and it'll stay. It's not going to balance. I don't know. Let me see. Let me do some tinkering, but I want to be able, you know, once it starts to get low, it's going to want to drip that oil straight down, so the bucket can't sit out in front of it. It's going to have to be right underneath of it, and then that hitch is going to be in the way. But I might be able to take a little wood block and throw in there to level the bucket up on that hitch and have it not spill. Let's get it drained out of here. I'll let you know how it goes. Well, here's your action footage. Boy, that's good looking oil, isn't it? Much better than the crap I drained out. Anyway, you can see we have more than enough room here. We've got like 8 inches between the bucket and the drain plug now. So it's plenty. But I went ahead and set 3 buckets under here. I knew I technically only needed 2, but that's with both of them being full. So I went ahead and set 3, that way I can change them out a little bit and still move them around underneath here, and, you know, not be trying to fight a full bucket out, because it's kind of hairy trying to tip it up and over that ramp to pull it out over there on the other side. So we'll let them, you know, each one get about 2/3 full or whatever, half full, and that'll be plenty. And then that way I can handle each one a little easier. But I've also got, you know, the 3 buckets, and I've got their snap lids. And so the nice thing is, once I pull the buckets, scoot them out of the way, I'm going to snap the lid on and drag them right back out and have them ready to just pour right back in. So, you know, catching it and putting it back into the bucket to pour it out right at the same time. I got to walk over and grab my funnel, but I'm going to get this third bucket set to where it's finally draining, and I can walk away for a second and not worry about it spilling over. I've already got the filter hand loose here. Well, kind of 2-hand loose. I can't quite, oh, there it's turning. It's just barely turning one-handed. So that's good. I didn't have to get a filter wrench, so the filter's already broke loose. So just as quick as that Once this thing goes to where it's just kind of a drizzle, you know, then we'll go ahead and yank that filter off, get it swapped, and throw the plug in, be right back to filling it up. Okay, shiny new filter on. Old plug put back in. Maybe y'all can see it right there. Yeah, plugs in, torqued up. Now we're just gonna jump up here and dump the oil back in her, and we'll start running the tractor and see if anything feels any different. I did notice this rubber hose right here is seeping oil just a little bit, and that is on the suction side. And that's one thing the dealer told me, was that possibly it could be sucking air in and causing a cavitation issue, and making the pump make that, you know, buzzing sound and not have fluid pressure, because basically it's trying to suck air through the system instead of oil. So maybe that little elbow, that rubber elbow, I know it's not factory, it's not really perfect. Maybe it needs to be changed or just tightened up a little bit. Maybe the whole thing really is just sucking some air for some reason. But anyway, we'll see. We'll try this first and we'll see. Look at that. Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but that may have fixed it. So I just shut the tractor off. Put that little bit of video in just so you guys could see it, but it's loud. I shut the tractor off so I could talk. And you saw, you know, 3-point arms were all the way down. I threw the lever to lift them up. Boom, they shot right up. They didn't sputter, they didn't hesitate, they didn't jump. And now that they're up, they're staying up too, which again, the issue before was that they would sink and settle. And now they're staying up. Which of course I could go up there and set the lever down and then they would fall, you know, under gravity. But that's looking really good. That's looking really positive. I left the cap here a little loose, and that was so if there is any air that's still got to work out of the system, it can come out. But seeing the 3-point respond really good now, and I'm not getting that buzzing. You know, before I was getting that buzzing sound coming from the hydraulic pump, and I was thinking it probably was, you know, cavitation is what it sounded like to me. From what I know, you know, it didn't sound like a grinding or screeching or anything like a bearing being out inside the pump itself. So yeah, little Rita's 3-point arm shot right up. That was good. That was great. So now I'm going to put the front end loader on, and we'll test it, function all of it, and see how she does. Well, I may be a little proactive, but I think she's fixed. Little Rita, you see I put the front end loader back on it. I have not put a box plate on it yet, but you know, seeing the link arms come up just like that, as quick as they're supposed to, and not sitting there and jerk and sputter, and having my pump not making that buzzing sound, that cavitating sound, I have no reason to believe that it's not fixed. And so the best I can think, you know, that with the whole 3-point assembly, getting that rebuilt, that needed to happen anyway. But that was not why it all of a sudden went bad. The reason everything all of a sudden got way worse and my hydraulics got non-responsive was because my fluid got low, and when I added fluid to it, the fluid that I added had some water in it. Now that water may not even been what killed things, but it was making that buzzing sound before I added the fluid. I just didn't know what it was. I thought it was something messing up in the pump. So I was like, ah, well, you know, it is what it is. It'll go till it breaks. But that was it cavitating then because it was low on fluid. And then maybe, you know, adding the hydraulic oil that had some water in it, maybe that somehow kind of swept the system and picked a bunch of crap up out of the bottom of the pan and deposited in the filter. That's the only thing I can think. Because changing the filter, it instantly is good. It hasn't buzzed one bit. Everything worked immediately after changing the filter. So, you know, the filter was only a year old. The filter should not have been packed off. It should not have been bad. You know, these systems, the filter, you know, I haven't put 100 hours on it last year. You know, and they're supposed to last even longer than that, I think. So to have that instantaneous sort of change where everything went to crap, it was after I added the fluid. And so something about adding the water, like I said, it must have just swept the system and packed that filter off, or you know, made that filter kind of sticky, just added friction in the filter. And since the pump is pulling fluid through the filter to the pump, if the filter starts to plug off, then your pump just gets nothing. That's it. If the pump can't get fluid, then it can't do its job. So, yeah, I put the front end loader back on. Everything is just quick as that. Just as soon as I hit the lever, boom, it's up, it's down, it's left, it's right. It's good. I'm excited. But, you know, I wanted to mention this, and I mentioned this before in my other videos, but y'all, it pays to understand how these systems work and troubleshoot. You know, if I had to haul this little tractor to a mechanic shop somewhere and pay shop labor rates every time that something went wrong, I'd be in trouble. You know, I'd be losing money all the time. So, you know, to me, kind of take it slow and think it through and really understand how the system works. And then you can kind of start to decide what needs to happen first. Like, okay, the 3-point system, look, I'll eat that, okay? That didn't technically need to be done yet. It wasn't technically the problem, but it was messed up. It was a problem. You know, I mentioned the shop said, you know, the seals were just gone, man. We can't believe this thing was working at all. So it needed to happen, just didn't need to happen yet. So I don't regret that. I don't resent that. I mean, that cost me less than $200. That was in parts and labor. You know, take it up there to the shop and have them rebuild the assembly. I spent less than 8 hours, I think, all in between taking it off, putting it on, you know, all that. Maybe another hour for changing the fluid and the filter, which I should have done. I should have changed that filter when I had the system drained the first time. I didn't have it with me and I didn't think about it. So, you know, yeah, that cost me another hour. But it didn't really cost me any cash. So the whole ordeal cost me $200 cash and 8 or 10 hours total of my time. You know, it's one day that technically, if I could have done it all, you know, just like that, it's one day, one work day that I was without the tractor functioning correctly, you know, and if you consolidate everything. So definitely worth it. I'm definitely happy with it. I know at this point that if it starts acting up again and that pump, you know, starts cavitating and not wanting to work, then at this point it's the pump. The only other thing I haven't changed is that little rubber hose that I showed you that is seeping a little bit. So potentially that rubber hose could try to suck some air in. But as long as the system can readily pull fluid from the tank and the tank stays full, or the pan, as long as the hydraulic system stays full and it always can have that extra, you know, kind of head height, that gravity flow, it doesn't really have a reason to want to pull air in, you know, but it starts to want to pull air when things start to pack up, you know, get plugged up, and then it's not drawn from the tank like it should. So anyway, at this point, if anything else goes wrong, the pump is next, and the pump is easiest right on the side of the engine. So I don't suspect I'm gonna have to do it yet, the way things are looking, but we shall see. Anyway, super happy, super easy. Got Rita going again.